Ho, 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 is what I should say. And happy holidays to everybody. This is Turn Bark Time. I'm the Turn.
I'm the Bark.
And we are going to be here a long time. This is Season 6, Episode 3. Now, after our dark Barker talking about honey and milk, dark episode.
I was on a mission.
Barker came up with a better idea to take a more happy and lighter tone this time around on Turn Bark Time. Now, this is our episode before our holiday recess. So make sure you get enough and always watch all of our episodes back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Bark, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about our favorite holiday films, our favorite Christmas films, I guess I should say.
Fantastic. Love it. So we're having this debate, folks, and we just want to, I think we need to put this out in the front of this, is that, yes, we know that there are other Christmas movies, other holiday movies that are out there. And you will be... We are expecting from our tens of followers to be inundated with comments about how could we leave this movie off. And we just want you to know that we've already been talking for roughly about an hour and a half, and 45 minutes of that have been me rearranging my list as we list more and more movies. So, not an easy thing to do, but we shall press on. Barker, would you like to start, or would you like me to start?
I'll go ahead and start. I think it's also important to say that these are our favorite movies.
I like that.
If you don't agree with our opinion, that's fine, because my opinion is not your opinion. So, starting, we're gonna count down, right? Like all of the good, gentle parenting people out there, from 5 down to 1. But it's gonna be tons of fun. So,
Should be.
My number 5, which probably will surprise some people in my life. This one's kind of fallen in recent years. Used to be higher on my list, and now as I've gotten older and had kids, and the fact that TBS plays it for, seems like 96 hours every 24 hours.
6 hours, wow.
Yeah. Is A Christmas Story, right?
Oh.
Good old-fashioned favorite. I mean, I looked like I probably could have played Little Ralphie when I was younger with my big old Coke bottle glasses.
Love that.
And I mean, we had plenty of BB guns laying around. So I mean,
did you shoot your eye out, kid?
Yeah, we had it. It came out in 1983. I remember watching it a lot growing up, and I don't know, just something about it was that old folksy kind of like Americana, which is what they intended to do.
Yep.
It was actually based on a book. The guy who narrates, I think, is the guy who writes the book that was called "In God We Trust and All Others Pay Cash."
Wow.
And so, just, I don't know. I like the idea of him, kind of like that old timey, like Christmas. I want the Red Ryder BB gun, and
yeah,
he's got flipping little Randy, who's just useless.
Yep.
And the dad. Now for me, it's less about being the kid and more like, yeah. I could be that. I could be Frank.
I like it. I
like prestigious awards.
Yeah. Well, and then who didn't want to who didn't want to lick the pole at recess? Let me tell you.
Good thing it doesn't get that cold on the west side though.
Yeah, that is always fair. Always a good one. Now, we were talking about this earlier. My clarification is this: to me, A Christmas Story is a Thanksgiving movie, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's a Thanksgiving movie because for me, we would go to my dad's side of the family, and we'd go to my Uncle Kip and Auntie Vic's house, and you'd eat dinner, right? And it was always amazing. And then there were kind of two places that people would hang out. There would be, my Uncle Kip had a shop in his garage, where he always had a fire going in like a old school fireplace, and so it'd heat the whole thing, and we'd just talk and you'd hang out there. And it was always cool to be like the little kid, right? Like hanging out with the adult guys and be like, oh man, it's so cool. But when you went back into the house, if you went into the living room and you wanted to chat with, like, you know, if I was going to talk to my mom or my aunts or my cousins or anything like that, right? A Christmas Story was always on the TV, always. And so it was always like, that was my big, like, that's why it was like a Thanksgiving movie for me. But still a very good film. All right, my number 5 falls into the like claymation movies, and it's not Rudolph, which I know my wife has already told me that Rudolph better be on my top 5. It is not on my top 5. I'm going to clarify that now. But this movie came out in 1970, and it's Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I loved this movie because it was like the origin of like where Santa came from and like how it all worked out. And Fred Astaire is the narrator. He's the postman, right? That is telling all the stories about how Santa got his beard and like where the toys come from. But I love it because Mickey Rooney, and I think if I remember correctly, Mickey Rooney, the first time I ever saw Mickey Rooney or realized who he was on a Disney Channel original movie, which was Phantom of the Megaplex. And he played like the older guy in it. And then you learn who he is and like how talented he is and all that. And it was great. But it was a town, and like the Kris Kringle is handing out toys, but he has to like do it in secret because toys are like illegal. And it was the Burgermeister Meisterburger. And I loved it. It was such a fun just movie to watch. And I was telling Barker, I was like, the thing that stuck with me is the song where he sings to get the Winter Warlock to like walk, which is like hilarious to me. Barker, how did you describe the Winter Warlock?
He's an emaciated Gandalf.
Yeah, he really is. But I just remember him just going, put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking across the floor. And I was like, Mickey Rooney, way to go. What a set of pipes. So Santa Claus Coming to Town, claymation, had to include it in one of our bits. Definitely my number 5.
Not enough stop motion in the world anymore.
Really, just a lost art form.
Indeed. Moving on to number 4. I picked How the Grinch Stole Christmas from the year 2000. We survived Y2K, and so we decided that we'd let Jim Carrey play the Grinch.
Ooh.
And just it's a great performance. I like this version because one, it's got more music to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I like musicals, and I think it develops probably of all of the reiterations of it, like the most depth of relationship between characters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I just really enjoy the idea of like how they took the visuals from a Seussical world, and made it practical.
Oh yeah.
You know? And I mean, I appreciate that Jim Carrey, trained with the CIA to put makeup on every day, and then apparently got really, really mad one day because Ron Howard, who directed it, tried to show solidarity and had them put the makeup on him. And then apparently Jim Carrey got really mad because he thought it was a stunt double, and he's like, that guy looks nothing like me, and got like super upset because they thought it just did like a terrible job. And if you're putting yourself through 2 to 2.5 hours of makeup every day, and then they put out somebody who looks like it's like one of those like this is what it looks like on Instagram, this is what it looks like when I made it,
yeah. Or it's like
the Dollar's Tree Grinch.
Yeah, or you ordered on Temu. The Grinch, but from Temu. Such a good one. Now, my number 4 is How the Grinch Stole Christmas as well, but is the 1966 animated version. And I think this one's more about nostalgia because I love Jim Carrey's performance in that Grinch. Like, it is phenomenal. And again, with him, like I think a lot of it's ad lib. Like one of my favorite lines from actually your version of the Grinch is when he is trying to like make a mess of his table and he pulls the tablecloth off and actually nothing falls. And so he has to go and hit it all over because it was supposed to all fall, but he was able to pull it without it. The reason I like this one is it just they did a good job of like recreating the book. They literally read the book. They didn't add anything to it, which is so unique, right? And again, the Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas is not a long book; it's a children's book, but it was so I thought it was so well done, and like there's so little commentary. It's the narrator reading the book, and the narrator. I mean, if you have not done it, so Google the How the Grinch Stole Christmas, go on the International Movie Database and look up Boris Karloff. His picture is terrifying. And it's exactly who you picture reading How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Just a scary looking dude. But again, written by Dr. Seuss, and just a classic. Like you just remember watching it. It was one of those ones that got played all the time on TV. ABC would play it for like their 25 days of Christmas, but they could play it a million times because it's only 26 minutes long. So just a phenomenal film that I very, very much enjoy and is dear to my heart. Did you
Well,
see
that's
the
the thing
picture?
about those. A lot of those like old school like Christmas specials. It's like they were small and digestible and not bloated.
Yep.
They didn't take a 3-hour musical and turn it into a 6-hour 2-movie epic.
Yep.
Pretty wicked.
Saw what you did there.
So tricky. All right, we're midway through our list. This is a movie that will make my wife happy.
Ooh.
I don't recall watching this one a whole lot growing up. And I guess a lot of this is kind of going through the lens of like me growing up, becoming an adult now, like looking at it, it's kind of like the dad, right, kind of perspective. And I think about it like, what are the ones that we put on like while we're doing stuff around the house? And this one, I don't recall watching. I'm sure we saw it. Mom, I apologize. My mom's gonna be like, we watched it every year, and
Dang.
I'm just gonna be like, I was busy, I don't know, throwing Lincoln Logs at Army men or something.
Love that. That was very patriotic.
Came out 1946
Okay.
with Jimmy Stewart, who plays George Bailey. The movie is It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, such a good one.
And thinking about it, like I did Movies Explained Poorly today with my kids, and I described it as a suicidal man has an angelic intervention to see that his life has meaning. And the kids were like, that's dark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's just a lot of kind of like good vibes in it for me, because like they run the Baileys run the savings and loans, and it's more about like community and relationships and helping the community grow than old man Potter, who's just trying to make money, which is why I'm a teacher and not running a business anywhere.
Yeah.
So public education is the Bailey savings and loans. So I mean, it's grown on me. When I was younger, I mean, I think our current kids have even more of aversion to black and white films.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate it. I enjoy the dance off in the beginning when they just randomly decide that they're going to open the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Reminds me of how the school I teach in now, we used to apparently have a shooting range that used to be underneath our auditorium. So
that's a bummer.
Schools were a different time.
They were a different place for sure.
So I mean, I like the idea of like, it kind of makes you try and think about like all the good things in your life rather than focusing on the bad things. And I think it's a good message for a lot of people and a lot of teenagers. Like, instead of focusing on what you don't have, let's try and focus on what's going right instead of what I don't have and what I could construe as being wrong.
Oh yeah. And I mean, really thinking about like how it's the things that you don't realize, you take for granted, right? Like the stuff that you would never know, like you wouldn't miss until it's gone. And I mean that message in that movie is super powerful. You know, there's the epiphany moment, the classic line of Clarence, Clarence, I want to live again. And I mean, it's just it. And then that scene like just builds up after it when he comes back and he's just so thankful for everyone. You know, it's such a big deal. So good pick, Bark. Good pick. That'll make Ms. Barker real happy. My number 3 is controversial to Barker. He is not happy. He has threatened to have me excommunicated from Turnbark Time. That's gonna be tough because I am half of it. So my favorite, and again, this ties into a book, and Barker's still upset. And Barker, I misspoke earlier because I said I was an adult when this came out, and that is a dirty, dirty lie because I was only 14. So it's reasonable that I would have enjoyed this movie. Is The Polar Express. And I am a huge Tom Hanks fan, and Barker will get his moment to criticize, but not criticize. That's right, critique. But it was just one of those things where it came to life, and I really did enjoy the book. The book was very much like The Grinch. It's very simple. I thought that Tom Hanks did an amazing job. I liked a little bit of the additions. It's not the exact same, but I like the picturing Santa's workshop with this giant industrial, like all these conveyor belts, but everybody knows exactly where everything's going. And then that magical, like the bag somehow closes and all these elves are on a balloon and like they bungee jump to get it done. And it was a cool feeling. But again, it's that magic of Christmas, you know, that idea that it's the belief part, right? And it's just the enjoyment. I know that there's a debate nowadays of whether or not to tell your kids about Santa Claus and things like that, because how much of it is, you know, lying to a kid and everything like that. But it was just, there's something so special about like thinking Santa brought you stuff. And I just remember like how excited I was. I was a kid who never slept in ever. My parents will vouch for this. My mom, one of our tens of followers, vouches for this all the time. That's why she trained me to make coffee in the morning, so she'd come down and have coffee all ready to go. But on Christmas, it was brutal because I would get up before everyone, you know, and I couldn't go downstairs. Like that was the rule, you know. And there were a time or two, sorry, Mom and Dad, that I slipped down and was able to look and see the pile, you know, or see presents down below the tree and be like, oh my God, that's so cool. But of course, that's where our TV and that's where my Nintendo 64 and all that was. And so I couldn't go down there. I had to like lay in my bed and wait. But yeah, Polar Express was just something where it's like, it was just that spirit that kept it alive. You know, the idea of being able to hear the bell and that people slowly lose their ability. And when he that last line where he said, or not the last line, but one of the last lines where he says, like, even Sarah, the bell fell silent for Sarah, like his sister. It was just, it almost like it broke my heart in a sense, because I was just like, no, you know it's real, you know. And my dream is that kid grew up to become Santa Claus. So, but I don't know if that actually happened. All right, Park, number 2, lay it on us.
I'm just trying to think about how old I would have been if you were 14.
You're 3 years older than me? 4? You're 5 years older than me. You're 5 years older than me. So you'd have been 19.
I'm darn near ancient, huh?
Or you 5? I thought you were 5 years older than me.
When were you born?
90.
Yeah, I'm 5 years older than you.
Yeah, so you'd have been 19.
Well, I would have been 19. Yeah.
You'd been too cool.
I missed the train. My bell had already rung.
If I had a rim shot,
I think my major aversion to that film. I love Tom Hanks as well. It's the uncanny valley visuals.
Oh, okay.
The animation style is what really gets me. I think if they would make it like live action or fully animated or animated a different way, I think I would probably be more okay with it. There's just something in my little like 1980s brain that's just like something ain't right.
No, that's fair. I would say that because it's that bridge. Or not even that bridge, but it's that. Is it animated? Is it live action? It's dancing between the two so much that it's not like, I could see that.
Well, it's just like the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol that Disney made where they're all it's the same kind of animation. And it's just kind of there's something about it where your brain's just like
it's not right.
It's always thinking in the background, like it's always running like a background, like is it people, is it not people? Is it people,
Right.
is it not people? But speaking of number two, and speaking of A Christmas Carol, my personal favorite iteration, honorable mention to the Disney one where it's animated with Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck and the boys.
Yep.
But the number one in my heart for A Christmas Carol, which comes in at number two, is the Muppet Christmas Carol. So where Gonzo and Rizzo play, well, Gonzo plays Charles Dickens, and Rizzo plays Rizzo the Rat. And after this movie, they pretty much appear as a duo from then on out. It was released in 1992, which makes it the first film that was made after the passing of Jim Henson.
Oh, wow.
So like the original Muppeteer. When we would drive from Quincy to Longview for many years, when Emma was little, this was like our go-to movie in the car. Like, so, and we put it on. We've been making Thin Mints and Rolo candies and all that good stuff that my wife makes during this time of year. And it's one of the ones that I sit there and I put on, and I get that it's Muppets, but I enjoy it. And yeah, it's got Michael Caine. Michael Caine's a heck of an actor.
Yeah.
You know? I think he was the one that was in Zulu. So, you know, pivotal part of my my other pieces of my childhood, thanks to my father and my knowledge of the Boers Wars. So yeah, I really enjoy. I also enjoy Muppet Treasure Island, but this is about Christmas movies.
Yeah,
so I enjoy kind of those wacky zaning, like maybe that just I'm easily entertained and I need upbeat musical numbers that are flashy. But I mean, there's I also appreciate the practical, like you talked about claymation, like the Muppets are puppets, and so there's a scene where Kermit or Bob Cratchit, right, is walking down the street, and it took 10 different people to puppeteer him being like seeing his legs, like him moving as a full body, as opposed to you know, just like the torso and the arm, you know, across the screen.
Well, Mr. Scrooge, I'm just trying really hard to make ends meet. Merry Christmas.
And that same voice sounds like the guy that plays quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, zing. It also sounds like Pee Wee Herman and Ray Romano.
Yeah. But anyway, that's just my favorite iteration. And what is it? Is it the Ghost? The Ghost of Christmas Past. Apparently, to get that ethereal, like where the garments are just kind of like flowy, they put the puppet in. It started as a vat of baby oil.
Really?
And then apparently that is pushing it over budget, so they just went to water, which eventually caused the puppet to deteriorate and like caused them to like the paint to come off and like the clothing, like the cloth to deteriorate way faster. But they got all the shots they needed. So again, just some love for old school practical effects. You know, to bring that to life.
Absolutely. Okay, my next one is probably it's the childhood movie. No, I can't even call it that. It's one of my favorite, like, to watch like on my own. Like if you're gonna tell me to like watch a Christmas movie, it's either my one or my two. But this obviously is my two. I had to rank it, and I finalized my rankings, and this one was it. I was a huge fan, and still am, of Tim Allen and Disney's making of the Santa Claus with an E on the end of it. I remember watching it, and it came out in '94, but I honestly don't think I watched it, and I obviously have no recollection of watching it until later. But just the idea of like becoming Santa Claus if Santa Claus dies next to you and you read the card and put on the suit was just fascinating to me. But there were so many just good one-liners that were in that movie, right? And I didn't realize them until I was like older, right? Like there's the part where he sits there and And his son is like, well, I like Neil, his stepdad. He's like, he listens to me. And then he goes, yeah. And then he charges you for it because he's a psychiatrist. But they just have so many like good lines in there. But I just remember how wholesome it was. It's that I feel like there's a classic Christmas kind of like plot line. Someone's like a bah humbug or like focused on work, and then they slowly shift, realizing what's important and everything like that. But this one was just fun. Like, and it was, again, it goes back to like the same thing with Polar Express. It's like, do you believe in this? And one of the lines at the beginning is seeing isn't believing, believing is seeing. And it's from the little elf Judy, which, by the way, complete timeout. She perfected a cocoa recipe, and it took her 1,200 years. If there is one thing I could drink in this life, it is Judy's cocoa recipe. I just want to know what it tastes like. 1,200 years to get it right. And again, she doesn't date anybody because she's seeing somebody in rapping. So it's a bummer for everybody involved. But I love the movie. I just love the little hints and stuff like that that were built into there. And the fact that his son just believes in him the whole time, you know, even though everyone thinks he's crazy. And so, but I always thought it was funny because it's like, you know, you talk about like Santa's beard, you talk about like Santa's weight, right? And he's like, he's talking about like how his hair turns white, and he like the part where he shaves his beard off, and I mean he's just clean shaven, he's got the dye in, like he's got brown hair, and he's just like all of a sudden it's like, and he's like, ah crap, he's like, I'm in big trouble. So just a phenomenal movie. Now, Barker, our number ones actually are the exact same movie. So I'm gonna let you introduce it because you brought it up first, and I think that's amazing. The odds of us both having it at number one were very slim, but I makes me so happy. So, Bark, what's our number one movie?
Our number one movie was released. Double checking my numbers here. I can't read my own handwriting.
Oh, that's
Was
exciting.
not written. Those numbers were not written with the
I have it.
unofficial pen of Turnbark Time, which is the ultrafine G2 pilot.
Yep. 0.38.
Yep.
1954.
1954. Featuring Bing Crosby
Mhm.
and was it
Danny
Danny Kaye?
Yep.
Are the male leads, and then it's Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen
Yes.
are the female leads. And we might chalk this up to the fact that we both have veteran fathers
Yes.
as part of why it was there. But this is a movie that about 2 years ago, when kids asked me what my favorite Christmas movie was, it dawned on me that like growing up, this is a movie I remember watching, and this is a movie that we will put on, and the girls will come and just like it's that fall like wolf den mentality, like
Yep.
everybody just like piles on the couch like around each other, and we can just sit there and watch it, or we can have it on while we're doing stuff. And that movie is
White Christmas.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just the music's really good.
The story's really good.
Story's really good, yeah. Oh man, if you guys doing this activity today with kids, and the number of kids who've never seen White Christmas, Miracle on 34th Street, It's a Wonderful Life,
Yep.
or even the Santa Claus. Like there's some kids who just don't watch Christmas movies.
Yeah.
Like we started talking about this, and like, you know, we stayed away from some controversial ones because I mean they're not my favorites. I enjoy them, but like maybe I'll enjoy it more when my kids are older. Like we can watch Die Hard.
Yeah.
Right now the language is a little problematic and the violence is maybe a little much. Or like Gremlins, you know, like is Gremlins a Christmas movie because it happens at Christmas, but it's a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think
by the way,
kids
for those
today,
of you, really quick, sorry to apologize for interrupting. For those of you wondering if you've never seen White Christmas, it is available if you do have an Amazon Prime account. It is available for free with your membership to Amazon Prime. Continue.
Yeah, and I think if you have Xfinity, I think it's on Xfinity somewhere too for free.
Oh, cool.
Somebody's hosting it at some point.
Yeah.
The premise of the film, I guess we should probably talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Is that Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye are soldiers in World War II, and they're performing at Christmas time as they're Is it Christmas time? Yeah, it's
It's
Christmas
Christmas
time.
Eve.
Isn't it?
Christmas
Yeah,
Eve when it
Chris,
happens.
Christmas Eve near the front,
Yes.
and their general is rotating home, and so like Danny Kane ends up saving Bing Crosby, and then they end up in a musical act together, and then they cross paths with a couple of sisters of a not very nice looking guy that they served in the army with.
Yeah.
But you know, you're gonna go listen to their kid sister sing because that's what you do for a pal in the army.
Yeah.
And then they end up taking a show up in Vermont. And it turns out that the owner of the ski lodge that they're at is their former general. So, which is
And yeah, it's really cool. They bring their whole show up to Vermont. And the big plot twist is that when we think of Vermont in the wintertime, it's got snow.
snow.
Snow, snow, snow. I hope my mom kept singing along with that line. Mom, love you. Um, but it's just it's a really good feel good film. It's one of those ones where there's a bunch, like I said, there's one of those. It's got one liners in it. It's got some very memorable songs, and just really cool choreography. Um, and yeah, it's just it's a quintessential Christmas film, and it just does something that I don't know if I've seen a movie like that recently. You know what I mean? Like a holiday movie, because obviously that in itself is tough to have a holiday themed movie, but to have like a holiday themed movie that has something like that in it with all the singing, because they just don't make movies like that anymore. And so,
Well, I mean, it's interesting because there is new Christmas themed movies every year.
yeah,
You know, like this
but I
year
mean,
has
like,
Red One with The Rock, but yeah, it's a different
yeah.
quality of
More
movie.
action though, because they're playing off of, America's been into superhero movies and things like that, and so that's what they're building off of that. But yeah, this is just, I don't know how to describe it. It's a really feel good, like they do it's almost like a play, like they do the drop, like the cut to blacks and then like raise back up into a different scene, so I don't know. It's really good, folks. If you have not seen it, if you got Amazon Prime, go watch it. It's worth your time. It's a great film, and I hope that it'll become one of yours. So, but hopefully you enjoyed these, and if you haven't seen some of the movies we've talked about, again, Barker, do you want to run your list back really quick, just so everyone can kind of hear it one
My
more time?
list at number 5 was a Christmas, going from 5 to 1 was A Christmas Story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the live action version, It's a Wonderful Life, The Muppet Christmas Carol, and White Christmas.
Beautiful. Mine, again, just a reminder, is Santa Claus is Coming to Town. It's the claymation. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the original from 1966. Polar Express, the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, and then White Christmas as well. We had a bunch on our consolation list too, guys and gals, and like, again, our favorite movies. We hope that you can share some of yours. Feel free to drop like comments on this video if you're like, oh, how could you forget that? Like, oh, what about this one? Come on, guys. Like, we'll take it. So, Bark, really quick, just because we got a smidge of time. Give me a song that's your or give me your go-to like holiday song. What's a song you could listen to over and over again?
We went through a phase where we did a lot of pentatonics.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh, man.
They're really good.
And I would say, I mean, it's kind of like, it's hard because like I played hallway music today, and like I try and keep things non-denominational, so
Right. Yeah.
because we're at school.
Just
But like honestly, like if I'm at home and I'm gonna throw stuff on for myself, I am probably throwing on pentatonics. Like it's like, What Child Is This?
oh, that's a
Like
good one.
We Three Kings.
Mary Did You Know is a good one from them on that
Mary
one.
Did You Know? Mary Did You Know is an absolute banger by them. So a lot of that stuff, like a lot of the old like hymnal kind of songs, rather than the more
Yeah.
upbeaty kind of stuff. And then that's what I don't know. That's where I'm at. I like the old. If I'm at home and I get frustrated because on the radio, on the Christmas only 24/7 channels. It's all the kind of hip hop covers of
Yeah.
like the more modern-y stuff. So
Mhm. I have to throw it to. So I do love Pentatonics. They are awesome. There is a song though that. So my parents bought me a CD, or maybe I bought it. I think I bought it at Target when I was a kid, and I bought a CD called Platinum Christmas. Had Britney Spears, had like NSYNC, like the stuff growing up. But there was a version of Little Drummer Boy by a band called Jars of Clay. And it was my favorite. Like it was just my all-time favorite. And I haven't heard it in forever. I just thought of it when we were kind of talking about this. But oh man, was that a good one. If you're gonna tell me my favorite one now that I'm gonna listen to, it's probably Feliz Navidad. Because that's just it's just a vibe. It's just a little. So
you'll be
and
playing that about noon tomorrow.
yep. So all right. I don't have anything else other than happy holidays, everybody. Regardless, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Merry Festivus to the rest of us. Hope
Joyous
you're
Kwanzaa.
Yep. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. And thanks for those people who do watch, even if you don't watch to the end. We appreciate you. So, and we enjoy doing this. We enjoy making it. So keep us, throw some thoughts out, and any ideas you guys got, we're always taking them. So, Bark, anything?
Yeah. Enjoy your time with the people that you either you were born into or the people you choose to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think time is the more valuable commodity rather than the stuff, right? So spend your time wisely. Be thankful for what you have. Be safe. Be smart. Yeah, and then drop your top 3, your top 5 in the
Oh,
comments.
yeah, please.
See if we
please.
get some tens of follower participation here.
We'd love that.
My brothers would probably say, the Star Wars Christmas special.
Can't be. I mean, people probably say Deadpool Christmas. So
Anyway, so I'm kind of interested to see what we have. But yeah, we appreciate you guys, all tens of you. So as our numbers grow, we grow closer to the magic 300 followers or
Is that what we're
300
close to?
subscribers on Instagram, or not on Instagram,
YouTube.
on the YouTube,
Yeah,
which is our main
it's our main page.
our main pipeline to the world.
Yep. What are we at for 118 for the gram? So we'll take that too. All right. Well, until next time on the
Until
turn.
next year.
Oh, until next. Ooh, yes, that is a reminder. So for all of you wanting your turn bark time, we will be back recording again. January. The episode should come out January 9th, I believe. So
Inshallah.
Inshallah. All right. Until next year, I'm the turn.
I'm the bark.
And we're going to be here a long time. Happy holidays, everyone. Be safe.
And be well.
I messed that up and just enjoy.